And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. I'm Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in home care, life transitions, and the senior living industry. So glad to be back after a summer hiatus. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I introduce our next guest, I wanted to give a shout out to a very important event this Thursday, September 14th. And did you know that September is World Alzheimer's Month, and this Thursday, the McGill University Research Center for Studies in Aging is hosting an online webinar called Celebrating World Alzheimer's Day, and they have some pretty impressive keynote speakers, including Ms. Paola Barberino. She's the CEO of Alzheimer's Disease International, that's based in the UK. Dr. Serge Gauthier, a very prominent doctor involved with dementia and Alzheimer's. He's a professor emeritus in the departments of neurology and neurosurgery and psychiatry at McGill. And there will also be Nicole Poirier. She's the director and founder of Carpe Diem, Alzheimer's Resource Center. Okay, so that's this Thursday, September 14th at 11 a.m. All you have to do is Google or look up Eventbrite MCSA. Okay, Eventbrite MCSA. It's absolutely free. All the details are there. And for those of you that have a loved one or are concerned about Alzheimer's or dementia, a well worthwhile webinar. You know, I saw an interesting post on Facebook in early August from a gentleman called Kevin Harvey. It was a picture of him in a wheelchair outside with a reflection about his life and some very inspirational thoughts and words of advice. And I was really touched by it, so I reached out to Kevin to see if he'd be willing to do an interview on Life Unrehearsed, our very first show back after the summer break. And he says, Matt, I'm all over it. And so I have Kevin Harvey in studio with me to tell us about his story. Kevin, thanks for coming in the studio, and welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here, and I was very pleased that you reached out. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, and really inspirational, and very happy that you're here to give some inspiration to others. Really, I look at it like that, Kevin. And so let's back up. Tell us your story. What happened on that fateful day as a teenager in 1981?
Well, like typical teenagers of my day, I was out camping in a place called Rivière Baudette. It's a sand quarry, well, actually an abandoned sand quarry, and a lot of youth used to go there and party and swim in these swampy, stagnant, 150-foot deep pools of nothing. And I was there with my friends, and I had seemed like a good idea at the time to get myself inside a big tractor tire inner tube, sort of like inside the little hole in a donut. Rolled down a hill like it's a sand quarry, and I basically bounced all the way down and didn't quite design that jump with good engineering, and I ended up hitting my head, broke my neck, severed my spinal cord, landed in the water. My friends dove in. I was basically sinking. Thought, well, I guess this is how I'm going out. And, and then my friend Fausto dove in, pulled me out of the water, and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I broke my neck, I think." Yeah.
Unbelievable. And you were, I think, 19 years old when this was going on.
Yeah.
And having a blast, having fun. And you could picture it, right? I mean, teenagers are doing this all across Canada and the world. And just a real freak accident. But you end up severing your spinal cord. Yeah. So you became instantly paralyzed? Is that what happened from the waist down? Is that it?
Yeah. At that time, I couldn't even shrug my shoulders. I was completely paralyzed there. So by the time they picked me up, brought me to the hospital, I'd passed out. I went to Valleyfield. I wasn't there. I woke up in the Montreal Neurological, and the doctor was putting my head in a halo and neck braces and all that. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Oh yeah. So that was that day.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here, and that's the voice of Kevin Harvey. He severed his spinal cord at 19 years old. That's over 40 years ago, and he's in studio with me telling us his story. So there you are. You've already been operated. It's at the Neuro you're at, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And how long were you there?
I was at the Neuro for just over 4 months, maybe. I had some complications. Then they sent you to the Réadaptation de Montréal on Darlington and Van Horn, where I spent almost a year.
So
Yeah.
4 months at the neuro, another year
Yeah,
getting rehab. And from there, so what physical limitations do you have now? I know when we met each other at the studio here, you're still able to roll your wheelchair
push.
with some
challenges?
challenges?
I'd be classified classic C6 spinal cord injury. So you have your bit of bicep, but no tricep. Your shoulders work, my wrist work, my fingers don't. My hands, I can't grab things with my hands and that. So some limited strength, upper body strength, and gained a lower body weight.
Sure.
But yeah. So that's the challenge physically.
Right. And, that's over 40 years ago, and as you get on with age, I'm sure it becomes a little bit more challenging, and you've got a great support network. I have to bring Darlene into the equation. You married Darlene, I believe, in 2004 at 43 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yeah.
she's absolutely your rock, isn't she?
She's my rock. She's at home listening too. Hi, Dar.
Hello, Darlene.
Yeah. So we met in church. And we became friends. At that time I was kind of like skeptical about, relationships in that way. But over the time, I became good friends, and I got to know what kind of human being she was, person, and vice versa. And we took a so-called mature leap of faith.
Right. Well, I want to talk about faith because I know that's important to you. However, just before that, Can you just describe your home environment? Because you've had to adapt your home, I'm sure, for your situation and wheelchair. And so can you give a description of your home?
Yeah, when I moved in there, the place was not accessible, so we had to rig up some plywood for the first 6-8 months. But then through local CLSC, you get these government grants, and we put in a ramp and put an addition onto the house to add a bedroom and enlarge the bathroom and make everything accessible like that. And we're in transitioning again because now our kids have all left the nest, and we have this oversized house. So we're looking to downsize and find a smaller place. And
downsizing, music to my ears.
Yeah,
part of our world in my day-to-day life. Might be able to help you out there, Kevin.
There you go.
Well, that's really good. And where is the home now? Because I do want to give a shout out to where you grew up in Chateauguay, boy. I understand. Howard S. Billings.
I grew up in Chateauguay, went to Billings there. Hello to everybody out in the hometown. And my wife, we moved out to. She was living in Dewitville, which is the Chateauguay Valley, so like Ormstown, Huntington area.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We talked about faith, Kevin, and I'm not so sure if you were a religious person before all this. I know faith has played a very important role for your self-motivation, and can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, just basically, when I was growing, just before my accident, I guess about 6 months, I was questioning life. What's it all about? What's it all for? And I had a moment in my life, and I realized I just need God. I need faith. I need something. I was like, life wasn't doing it for me as is the direction that I was going. So I gave my life to God and didn't know anything even about church, didn't know nothing, and eventually found some good people to hang out and express that,
Yeah, well, good for you. It's just over 40 years of having to deal with this, and you found something with purpose and to get you through, and continues to get you through, exactly, I'm sure, some of the difficult times. We're talking with Kevin Harvey. He severed his spinal cord at 19 years old and still going strong, a very dynamic individual. Kevin, we need to head out to traffic, but talk about the dynamism. One, you have some excellent words of advice to others. I know you're always giving these words of advice, but I'm amazed that you're still going strong as a lead singer of a band, a soul folk or a blues band called Durham County Poets. And we're not just talking a little hillbilly small band. You guys are serious. In fact, a JUNO Award nomination. Yeah. And we're going to hear some of those tunes when we come back.
Said my daddy told me, son, I ain't got much to give to you. No, I can't give you nothing but these old hand-me-down blues.
Welcome back. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed, doing some toe tapping here. I'm Matt Del Vecchio, and I'm talking with Kevin Harvey, who severed his spinal cord in an accident more than 40 years ago. He's paralyzed from the waist down, and he's in studio with me. By the way, that was his voice in the band Durham County Poets. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Kevin, you really... You had a terrible accident. Here you are 40 plus years later, an inspiration to many, many people. And I'd like for you to share some words of advice for people that, have been down in the dumps and really had to persevere.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you can't see me through radio, but when you look at a person in a wheelchair, it's obvious there's a person in a wheelchair. But everybody, and I mean everybody on planet Earth has an issue, a problem, or something, hurdles to get over, problems. There's a silver cloud behind every lining, and there's another terrible storm behind that silver cloud, whatever it's like. That's just the way life goes. And I guess if one thing, it being disabled at 19, of course, I was very sad and overwhelmed. But I kind of just decided it pretty early on, within the first year and a half. Okay, this is what life is. It is. That's what it is. And I got to just kind of learn patience and roll with it and just pivot. You got life, you got to pivot. I had all these ideas and dreams of being a carpenter and doing all that, and wow, I never did study much in school. Now, if people are saying, "Well, you're a smart guy," no, I didn't think I was a smart guy. I didn't. So yeah, it was. When life comes, you really gotta look at it and evaluate it, and stay positive, and surround yourself with people who love you and who you can love.
So true. And thank you for sharing that. And obviously, you've had to adjust a lot in your life, and you've had many ups, many downs. And I want to just expand a little bit on the people in your life. And I know music has played an absolute crucial role to you, your family. And why is that?
That's a good question. I mean, I just always been a kind of guy that was humming, had a song in my head my whole life. I'm always, if I'm alone walking on down a road, I'm like humming, whatever, making up stuff. And so some friends of mine said, "Oh, there's my friend Donnie Brisebois, some guys from Ganawagga, they want to start a blues band. You have blues records and you're always singing. Why don't you join the band?" That was 1986. And I said, "Well, okay, like I said, it'll be fun, something to do. It could keep you busy, So I got together with my buddies, and we had 2 practices, and then they said, "Good, we got a gig downtown this week." I'm there. Well, wait, what do you mean a gig? I don't want to do a gig. I thought you meant play in a basement, So that was beginning of playing music, and that being part of my life. And I just caught the bug, I guess. Yeah.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here, talking with Kevin Harvey, who was paralyzed at the age of 19 years old. And as you just heard, making a go of it for the music world. And boy, oh boy, have you ever made a go for it. And you've got a band called Durham County Poets. If you go on their website, you see the list of nominations that you've had, including a JUNO Award nomination. Congratulations on that. And, this is the real deal. I mean, you're on tours and stuff. You've got a tour going on right now. Tell us about the tour.
Yeah. This Wednesday we'll be in Ottawa at the Schenkman Art Center. And then we have Thursday off. Friday we'll be in Trenton, Ontario at the Roy Bonesteel Theatre. I don't know if you remember Man Alive back
sure.
in the day. That was his daughter owns this place. And then we're off to our last blues festival of the season in Wasaga Beach on Saturday. Yeah.
Lovely. And then you keep going. It's nonstop. This is with your band, Durham County Poets. I think we've lined up a clip from your Ed of the Woods song, I believe is what it's called. That's your Is that your latest?
That's our latest album entitled.
Well, Dan, you have that all queued up. Let's hear it. Yeah. I'm looking around the studio here, and Max is in the newsroom. Dan and Dario are behind the window, and all of them with their heads up and toe tapping, and really good. And that's you singing, an incredible voice, Kevin.
Thank you. The inspiration for that was my mother, and my mother was really good at giving me heck when I needed it, and giving me a hug when I needed it. So a lot of the thoughts and sentiments in there are dedicated to my mom.
Love that. We're talking with Kevin Harvey. He's the lead singer of Durham County Poets. And if you just looked him up, you'll see Kevin there in his wheelchair. Just an incredible voice. You've won Song of the Year and Vocalist of the Year on several awards I've seen. Good for you. Tell us a little bit, while we've got a few minutes here, tell us a little bit about the boys in the band.
Well, we got David White from Ormstown on guitar. Fantastic songwriter. Has been writing songs forever. Neil Elsmore is the other guitar player from Chateauguay. Shout out to Neil. Carl Roof on bass. Rob Kotzer on drums. He's here in the city. The rest of us are out in the valley. And we picked up a couple of horn players, Marc Leclerc and Patrice Luneau or Kevin Jalbert. We have these different horn players who fill in there, and they're just a great bunch of guys. And really, I would not be able to tour if it wasn't this particular bunch of guys. And right now we have Rob McDonald, a fantastic guitar player. He's been on the road and filling in for Neil, and we're very grateful to have him on board. He's solid, baby.
Well, you know what? Very talented band, and really want to wish you much success and all you do. It's Kevin Harvey here on Life Unrehearsed. Kevin severed his spinal cord at 19 years old. You're how old now, Kev?
I'm 61, and I'm going to be 62 very, very soon.
In your early 60s, and still going strong. Great voice. If people want to check out the albums, where can they go? You have a website?
Go on the website, DurhamCountyPoets.com. You can purchase CDs there. We're on Spotify and every other thing and all that stuff.
Well, way to go. It's Kevin Harvey, Durham County Poets. Kevin, I really want to thank you for making the journey in studio with us. We're going to wrap it up a little bit with your song here. And go out and see them. Just love that. The Durham County Poets, just go to their website and check out their tour dates. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening into Life Unrehearsed. Next week on Life Unrehearsed, well, attention pet lovers, as we discuss the evolving market for mobile vet care for aging pets. It's really becoming popular, especially if you're a pet lover. And cancer support with the Jackie A's Adolescents and Young Adults Program for Cedars. Well, thanks for tuning in to Life Unrehearsed. As a reminder, for all your inquiries or assistance with life transitions, home care, and the senior living industry, it'd be my pleasure to help. You can find out more if you look up Lianas Senior Transition Support. That's Lianas, Lianas, Senior Transition Support. Many thanks to our technical producer, Dan. You can listen to Life Unrehearsed here on CJD 800 every Sunday at 4 p.m.